Welcome back to the shop and to the channel. I know it's only been not even 2 months since the last time I did an odds and ends episode, but there's some things that have been going around in the shop and not enough to make one video on each subject, so I figured I would just kind of lump them all into this short little video. And since I made that video, I've surpassed 3,000 subscribers on YouTube, and I wanted to celebrate by doing another giveaway. And I'll talk about that giveaway a little bit later on in this video. Before we get started with stuff that's going on around in my shop, I just wanted to give a little bit of a shout out to Matty over at Mattys Workshop. If you watch my channel, chances are very good that you watch his. Which means you know that Matty was recently diagnosed with a pretty rare form of cancer. And as I understand it, in Australia, a lot of healthcare costs are covered by socialized medicine, but not all of it is. And that also includes some extra travel time that Matty's wife has to take in order to be with him during some of his treatments. Curtis and Karen at Cutting Edge Engineering have started a GoFundMe for Matty and his family to help cover some of the cost of some of that travel, as well as some of the procedures that aren't covered under the government healthcare system. There are some things that he has to have done that is out of pocket, and this will help cover that. I've got the link to the GoFundMe on the screen, and it's also in the description of the video. So if you feel so inclined, you can stop over there and maybe chip in a couple of bucks. Back in May, I shared this video of my very first Gerstner tool chest that I picked up off of Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist. I forget which one. It's pretty dirty, and all the felt was in pretty bad shape. And I spent some time getting it cleaned up. Well, and here it is now. This took quite a bit of work, but it wasn't all that bad. The first thing I did was I took everything apart, took all the hardware off of the drawers and off the box, and I used Murphy's oil soap to clean all of the grime and crud off of it. All of the hardware was cleaned up on wire wheel, except for the handle. The handle was too far gone, but I was able to get a replacement for it from Gerstner. I used this product called Restore Finish on all of the wood, and that restored the finish a little bit, and then I gave everything a wipe down with some beeswax. I replaced the mirror that's in the lid, as well as all of the felt in the drawers. Now, this isn't the official felt from Gerstner, it's just some cheaper stuff I got off of Amazon. The Gerstner stuff is pretty expensive, but it's worth it, but it just wasn't in the budget to do it this time. I'm really happy with how this turned out. I decided to put my machinery skates to use here by taking this 1960 South Bend lathe that I have in the shop and turning it 180 degrees. I want to be able to use it for a project even though it's not completely clean yet, and it would be easier if the operator's side was toward the shop instead of having my back up against the overhead door. I did discover a couple of problems though in the process. The rubber that I glued on top of the pivot plates did not hold, and the other thing I learned was you really have to pay attention to all of the skates while you're moving something, or you could end up in a disastrous situation. My wife had walked into the shop about 20 seconds before this accident occurred. Thank goodness the lathe didn't go over any further than it did, and it took me probably 10 times longer to fix this mistake and get it back up on the third skate than it did to do this whole move. But I did eventually get it back up on the third skate, and I was able to get it back into the position that I wanted it in the first place, which is with the back of it up against that overhead door and the operator's position toward the inside of the shop. I have a project coming up and I want to take advantage of the large spindle bore on this particular lathe, so I'm happy I can still use it and that it's still in one piece. For those of you that live in the US, you can probably recognize this as one of those Harbor Freight parts washers, or what used to be one. It's undergone some modifications over the last couple of months. One of the first things I did was I moved all of the fluid basically inside of this tub. It's no longer in the top of the parts washer. So there's a pump that's submerged down inside of the cleaning fluid, and it drains automatically back down through this hose. Now the cleaning fluid I'm using is PSE 1000 from Tractor Supply. It's got a really high flash point, and it doesn't smell as bad as like kerosene or other solvent-based cleaners do. And being that this thing is in my attached garage, it gets pretty cold out here in these Northeast Ohio winters. So one of the things I did was added a immersion heater into the fluid reservoir. It's a bucket heater. It's made to be submerged. It plugs into 110 volts. And here you can see over a period of just a few minutes that it gets up near 100 degrees. Well, just in case there is any kind of stink that would end up in the garage and maybe even into the house that's attached, I put this weather stripping around the lid so that when it's closed, it should seal off any odors that could be coming out of it. I also added this flexible hose that's got a brush on the end of it, so when I turn on the pump, the fluid comes out of the center of the brush, and this will make it a little bit easier to clean some gunk and grease off of some of these parts that we have to clean. Well, I've been collecting old toolboxes for a couple of years now, a lot of Kennedys and of course that Gerstner, and in them invariably are a bunch of old used taps. So I finally decided to start organizing them and sorting them by size, and I never knew I had this many quarter 20 taps. Well, I got a package in the mail from fellow YouTuber and Northeast Ohioan Dave Clark. He's got a YouTube channel, Dave Clark the Pattern Guy. Dave was a pattern maker for Ford Motor Company for quite a while, and now does some pattern making as a side job as well as a bit of a hobby. I visited his foundry one day and I helped him pour these little brass Ys that are used on Harley Davidson motorcycles, if I recall. Along with the stickers and these motorcycle parts, he sent this little gadget, which will stay on my shelf in my office, but it's an interesting curio, that's for sure. I think these are illegal in some places. I also got a channel sticker from Rusty at Rusty Inventions. Rusty's out of the UK and has a small home workshop with a Myford lathe and some welding equipment. He's very innovative. He thinks outside the box and does a lot of upcycling. Doesn't like to throw stuff away. It's kind of the way I am, and tries to take some of those old stuff and make them new again. It's a very young channel, very new. I encourage you to go check him out. Well, I wanted to celebrate passing 3,000 subscribers, so I reached out to my friends at Anchor Lube and at Shars to see if they would donate a few things that I could give away, and boy, did they ever. Shars sent along a couple of these digital calipers, some deburring tools, and Anchor Lube, of course, sent some bottles of Anchor Lube. So I'm going to get these organized and do a giveaway. I am going to put these together in a bit of a bundle. I'll take one of the calipers and some anchor lube and some of the other tools and put them in a package. So there'll be two of those, and then there'll be a bunch of smaller ones. As much as it pains me, I'm going to have to limit these to the US. It was just too expensive for me to send some of this stuff at my 1K giveaway, and this would be mountains more than that. So I apologize to my overseas viewers. So I'm going to take these two big packages and I'm going to give away one to one of my patrons. So if you're not a member of my Patreon page, go over and check that out. And I'm going to give another one away to a subscriber that comments on this video with the word 3K. That's the number 3 and the letter K. And I'm going to randomly pick some other subscribers to include some of this other stuff. There's a whole bunch of little things here, and I might be adding to this over the next few weeks. So you have about 3 weeks to get a comment in. So comment 3K to be included in the giveaway. Well, that's it for this little quick update. I hope you enjoyed it. Give it a thumbs up if you did. Don't forget to subscribe and leave your 3K comment down below so that you can be included in the giveaway that we'll be drawing here in a few weeks. That's it for now. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.